Hello students, today we will read the second lesson of your Honeydew book, The Tsunami. Look at this map of India. Can you identify the region in the red box here? Could you guess it? Let me give you a hint. It is a group of islands. I'm sure you have guessed it and you are right. This is Andaman and Nicobar Islands and its capital is Port Blair. Let's look at this map a little more closely. If we look closely at the map of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, we will find that the Andaman Islands and the Nicobar Islands are small groups of many small islands. These groups have a geographical term and these are known as archipelagos. So Andaman and Nicobar Islands is an archipelago. An archipelago is a group of many islands and the surrounding sea.
何これさっきの人はさっき何なんだよ終わった。
So what is a tsunami? As we have seen in the video, a tsunami is a very large and powerful wave caused by earthquakes under the sea. Tsunami is a Japanese word which means harbor wave. It is a natural calamity or disaster. You might have heard about some other natural disasters like floods, landslides, like cyclones or earthquakes. On 26 December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India such as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. In this lesson, we will hear some stories of courage and survival. Many people lost their lives in this tsunami. Some were able to save their lives, but in the process, they lost their near and dear ones, their family members, and their homes as well. So let us hear some of these stories. The first account is that of a man named Ignatius. Ignatius was the manager of a cooperative society in Kachil. Early in the morning at 6, his wife wakes him up and tells him that she felt an earthquake. Ignatius must have thought that the earthquake was not a very serious one. We can guess this from the fact that he took the television set off the table and put it on the ground so that it would not fall or break. He had no idea about the destruction that this earthquake would later bring on. Then the family rushed out of the house. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising, means the water in the sea was going up, its level was going up. In the chaos and confusion, two of his children caught hold of their grandfather and uncle and rushed in the opposite direction. He never saw them again. His wife was also swept away. Only the three other children who came with him were saved. So, in this way, Ignatius lost half of his family while saving them at the same time. The next victim was Sanjeev. Sanjeev was a policeman serving in the Kachal island of the Nicobar group of islands. He somehow managed to save himself, his wife and his baby daughter from the waves. But then he heard cries for help from the wife of John, the guest house cook. Sanjeev jumped into the water to rescue her, but they were both swept away. So Sanjeev lost his life while trying to save someone else. The next story is that of Meghna, who was a 13-year-old girl. She was swept away along with her parents and 77 other people. She spent 2 days floating in the sea, holding on to a wooden door. 11 times she saw relief helicopters overhead, but they were not able to see her. She was brought to the shore by a wave and was found walking on the seashore in a daze. A daze means she was still in the state of shock. The next story is of Almas Javed. Almas was 10 years old. She was a student of Carmel Convent in Port Blair, where her father had a petrol pump. Her mother Rahila's home was in Nancowry Island. The family had gone there to celebrate Christmas. When the tremors came early in the morning, the family was sleeping. Almas's father saw the sea water going back. He understood that the water would come rushing back with great force. He woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. As they ran, Almas's grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. Her father rushed to help him. Then came the first giant wave that swept both of them away. Almas's mother and aunt stood clinging to the leaves of a coconut tree, calling out to her. A wave uprooted the tree and they too were washed away. Almas saw a log of wood floating. She climbed onto it, then she fainted. When Almas woke up, she was in a hospital in Camorta. From there, she was brought to Port Blair. The poor girl doesn't want to talk about the incident with anyone, and she is still traumatized. We cannot even imagine the pain and the suffering that young children like Almas and Meghna and many others have gone through due to the tsunami. Do you know what happens after a natural disaster takes place? After the challenging task of saving the people from a disaster is completed, another difficulty that governments and organizations face is how to rehabilitate people so that they can come back to their normal lives away from the haunting memories of the disaster. Young children are the most sensitive in this group. The result of the accidents can have long lasting effect on their minds. They may also suffer from emotional stress because many of them, like Almas and Meghna, have lost their families. These children are kept in rehabilitation centers. You can call them take care homes where their physical and emotional needs are taken care of. Look at this map of Southeast Asia. Can you locate the country Thailand in this map? Also try to locate a place named Phuket. It is a very famous beach and a lot of tourists visit there. The second part of this lesson has the account of a young girl who was able to save many lives when the tsunami struck Phuket beach in Thailand. This is the Smith family from southeast England. Tilly Smith was 10 years old and she had gone to Thailand to celebrate Christmas with her father, Colin Smith, Penny Smith, her mother, and her 7-year-old sister. It was 26 December 2004 and the deadly tsunami waves were already on their way. They had been triggered by a massive earthquake off northern Sumatra earlier that morning. Sumatra is also an island near Thailand. Tilly saw the sea slowly rise and start to foam, bubble and form whirlpools. She immediately sensed that something was wrong. Her mind kept going back to a geography lesson she had taken in England just 2 weeks before she flew out to Thailand. She remembered that she had seen this in class in a video of a tsunami that had hit the Hawaiian Islands in 1946. Her geography teacher had shown her class the video. Tilly started to scream at her family to get off the beach. She talked about an earthquake under the sea and she got more and more hysterical. Penny Smith did not know what a tsunami was, but seeing her daughter so frightened, she thought something serious was going on. Tilly's parents took her and her sister away from the beach to the swimming pool at the hotel. A number of other tourists also left the beach with them. Tilly's family took shelter in the third floor of the hotel. The building withstood the surge of three tsunami waves. If they had stayed on the beach, they would not have been alive. The Smiths later met other tourists who had lost entire families. Thanks to Tilly and her geography lesson, they had been warned beforehand. Tilly went back to her school in England and told her classmates her terrifying story. The story of Tilly Smith tells us that in the face of a disaster, the best thing to do is to stay calm and think of how we can save ourselves and other people. We should be aware of our surroundings and observe things around us. After all, it was Tilly's observation of the ocean that made her understand that a tsunami was approaching, and thus she managed to alert and save lives of her family and other tourists. Before the giant waves slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals seemed to know what was about to happen. They fled to safety. According to eyewitness accounts, elephants screamed and ran for higher ground. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos abandoned their low-lying breeding areas, and zoo animals rushed into their shelters and could not be enticed to come back out. Many people believe that animals have a sixth sense and know when the earth is going to shake. Some experts believe that animals' more sharp hearing helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration. They can feel an approaching disaster. We cannot be sure whether animals have a sixth sense or not, but the fact is that the tsunami in the Indian Ocean killed more than 150,000 people in a dozen countries, but not many animals have been reported dead. Along India's Cuddalore coast, which is in Chennai, thousands of people died, but buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. The Yala National Park in Sri Lanka is home to a variety of animals, including elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. 60 visitors were washed away from the Patnangala beach inside the Yala National Park, but no animal dead bodies were found except for two water buffaloes. About an hour before the tsunami hit, people at Yala National Park had observed three elephants running away from the Patnangala beach. A Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near Gale said his two dogs would not go for their daily run on the beach. They are usually excited to go on this outing, he said, but on that day they refused to go and most probably saved his life. This lesson is a gentle reminder that disasters can happen anywhere and at any time. We need to be alert and aware everywhere, whether we are on the mountains enjoying a snowfall or near a sea beach talking to the waves. It also reminds us that courage can help us face even the most difficult times of our lives. And in the end, it reminds us that we should be grateful that we have the love and support of our families. I hope you enjoyed this chapter and learned something. Thank you for watching.